Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. I hope you are doing magnificent today. Yes, I meant that, magnificent. More than well. Let's see what we got here today. Just so you know, in case there are any new subscribers that were wondering, I do shovel. Interesting. Shuffle. I do shuffle these cards quite profusely off camera, pray, bless, all of that good stuff. But I try to waste as little time on camera as possible, even though I get a little bit chatty in the beginning from time to time. But for the most part, I cut them on camera so that you know that, there definitely was no fixation before I push record, so at least there's that much of a gesture of, I don't know, truth, trust. It's more for you than for me, because I know how it is that when people don't see you shuffle or cut the cards or whatever, they question everything as we do. But like I also say, if you don't trust my energy now at this point, you never will. But that is one way that I do offer a gesture of confidence, I suppose, so that you can trust that there are no smoke and mirrors here. None at all right? Except for the smoke of my incense. Okay, so wow, I saw that peeking out, couldn't not see it. Uh-oh, what's that? Oh, somebody's getting married. Somebody's getting married. Somebody's getting married. Who knows that from Muppets Take Manhattan? That was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. I used to watch it over and over, and sometimes when I was an adult, I would watch it too. Muppets Take Manhattan. That was the ending scene of the Broadway production when Piggy and Miss Piggy, pardon me, soon to be Mrs. Married Kermit. Oh man, I'm gonna find a clip of that and post it down below and on the community tab. But anyway, perhaps someone is getting married. I don't know, but that's just what I felt immediately when I saw the Hierophant and the Lovers card. And this is like a traditional ceremony of sorts, or at least a coming together. But this energy here can't help but see with the Seven of Wands. Honestly, I feel like this could be the objection. Like, you know how they say, if there's anyone that objects to this union, speak now or forever hold your peace. I feel like this is an objector here, but they can't even get into the ceremony to state their case. What's that back there? Oh, they can't even get in. What? This is so funny. Somebody get the flowers, somebody get a ring, somebody get a choir and somebody get a preacher and a choir to sing. Somebody get a fine necklace, yeah, 'cause somebody's getting married today. I don't think nobody get married on a Tuesday. Talk about going up, eh? That's really wanting to save a buck on your ceremony if you get married on a Tuesday. But nah, this just really could be a foreshadowing of divine unions coming into alignment. And I love that the Hierophant is here, and there's even nothing behind this card, which is good, with the lovers almost as a protective force, and the angel protecting from above, as above so below, but protecting this what do you call it, I almost said consummation of this connection, but certainly that would probably be after the ceremony, more or less. But to preserve or protect this, I don't know, something official, officiation, I don't know. But let's see, let's just, for shits and giggles, let's see what's behind, because there are many cards behind here. Oh, wow. Five of Swords, yeah, somebody is feeling quite, oh, yeah, they want to get in so bad and disrupt this connection, but it's already well on its way with the Chariot card. What's the Queen of Pentacles about? I just got like somebody even coming forward as if they're wanting to present a gift, like say like a wedding gift or a best wishes type of offering with the Queen of Pentacles. But really, oh my gosh, this is real wild. And of course, you know, this could literally just be in my thoughts, or it could be more figurative than actual. But like somebody as a guest that would come in, and this is real movie-esque too, that would come in and put their gift, you know, come to the reception, put their gift at the reception table. I mean, their gift at the gift table or wherever gifts are held, and it'd be like a bomb. So it's like somebody really wants to like blow, they want to cause destruction to this. It feels like they would rather do it before it gets to be, but that somebody would settle for creating that disturbance. They're quite insistent and relentless in their intention to create some, like, at least if they can't stop it before it happens, they at least want to ruin the day, you know, or ruin the experience or something, like some type of major disruption. Somebody really wants to cause, like, they're very driven to do this. But this is like security here. This is their intention, but this is like, first of all, they're withheld from actually activating and actualizing this intention somehow, some way. I don't know how, but this here is almost like security or police that are so protective of this day, this union, this coming together, this relationship, this couple, whomever, maybe even of the feminine herself. And of course that gets to be the extension to the masculine, or vice versa, or collectively, whatever. But there's too much protection around this at this point. It's like somebody would do everything in their power to disrupt it before, during, or after. May even be intentional or thoughtful about still causing a disruption even after, you know, as an aftermath of the that, maybe that's why I was saying consummation, like to somehow just blow it up, you know, cause disruptions even after it's already been made official. But they're either going to find themselves in some serious trouble with the law, with spiritual authority here, maybe with the angelic realm. It seems like if anybody lifts a finger against this right here, it's going to be hell to pay for it. And although somebody might be, you know, so I don't even know, like so vengeful, I guess. Jealousy is the thing with the Five of Swords. So vengeful and envious at this time to allow their impulses to lead them anyway, knowing perhaps maybe even knowing that there's security, knowing that there's a risk. You know, it's just kind of like, okay, well, here, this is the foreshadowing of the outcome, not for the couple, but for whomever, you know, tries to cause disruption and chaos. It will backfire. Interesting. I'm just going to go ahead and shuffle from scratch on that one. And then what's the significance of the Muppets? Muppets Take Manhattan. Then we got the Burning Tower. What are we talking about here? Oh, and you know what? Oh, wow. Because in Muppets Take Manhattan, the story kind of was the classic case of the separation and then reunion of twin flames, you know, twin souls, divine sacred partners, as we know Kermit and Miss Piggy are. You know, they are the quintessential couple of the Muppet world. So, you know, and they if you think about it, if you're familiar with the Muppets, you know that they kind of go through this runner-chaser dynamic throughout most of the existence of the creation of those two characters. But in the movie, they were all planning on this big production that Kermit and I think Gonzo Fonzie had put together. Well, they all collectively, more or less, but I think Kermit was like the writer of this production that they were trying to shop around to Broadway producers. So it was like Muppets, but it was like real people too. And just as they thought they found an interest, turns out it was really a scam or a fraud anyway. So it kind of worked out that that just before they were about to sell the production to some kind of like skeevy producer, if I can remember correctly, Kermit stepped outside of the production offices onto the busy Manhattan streets, got hit by a taxi, and then had amnesia. And then when he got amnesia, he was like missing for a while. Like nobody knew. All the other Muppets were trying to figure out where he was, because they were in expectation for him to come back with like this news of whether or not they were bought or whatever. I may be wrong about the skeevy producer thing, but I feel like there was something shady at first to who they were shopping the story around to. And then the tragedy happens. Kermit forgets who he is, no memory of himself, his previous life, or his friends, you know, the other Muppets. And he gets like lost in New York into some whole other life, you know, more or less, where he starts working this corporate job, you know, like with all these other frogs, of which he, of course, is more familiar, you know. And he's like an accountant or something else, like really rigid, but not at all creative anymore. But that becomes his new reality until finally one day, I forget how it turns out, that I want to say Miss Piggy, like, she never stopped looking for him. She never, even though she was kind of in despair for the love lost because they couldn't find him, she really never gave up trying to connect or figure out where he was. Like, she even was like had gone undercover. I remember her in this like tan trench coat and a hat and glasses, because you know Miss Piggy was fly for all occasions. But she kind of like, she went into like detective mode looking for him, and finally I think she did come across him, but was like perplexed as to why he was not given his normal Kermit vibes. And I think when she approached him, he obviously didn't remember her. Something happened, I forget, it's been a long time since I watched it, but either way, she was the one in the end that ended up literally knocking sense into him, like physically knocking him out, because he said something disrespectful to her. Like, she was trying to refresh his memory about who he was in the show and his friends, and like, this is you, this is who you are, this is where you are at home, we are the ones that love you, and you know, you and I are supposed to be married, more or less. And he goes into this like hysterical rant where he's like, me, a frog marry a pig? Like, that's hilarious. Like, he's like really making fun of her, to the point where she gets enraged and she literally knocks his ass out across the room. But that's what makes him come to his senses, that he finally, like, he's literally upside down, but then in that moment, it's like that impact jogged his memory back to the origins of who he was and who all these friends were to him. And then, of course, they, and that was the other thing. That's what they really didn't give up on. They kept shopping the production and kept working on it, even in his absence. So it's like they still kept the memory alive of him. This is deep. I hope you can hear this energy. But they still kept his memory alive and his legacy alive, because that's what he would have wanted, obviously. And I think they ended up coming into connection with another person in the industry that was like the son of a big time producer, and his dad really didn't give him too much leeway to build productions. He would go scout out different things and come back, but his dad was already well established, so he kind of played him off a bit. But for whatever reason, he took a chance on this idea, and where I'm pretty sure they were about to be scammed or kind of exploited with another production, they ended up with someone that was a bit inexperienced, but that really valued like the novelty of their creativity and didn't want to like bastardize it, exploit it, but actually help to really enhance the vision but keep it pure. Oh, this is so funny. And so anyway, at the very end, she knocks his ass out, he comes to his senses, and they put on this amazing production that has had rave reviews, and the very ending scene of it all was the two of them getting married. But so many things came into, and like became a distraction and a detour and even destruction of what, almost kind of deterred the faith of the end result, which was to be this big show, this exhibition ending with their union. In between that time, that there almost seemed like all hope was lost, until alas, it was not. It was not. So take that as you will, because that is so funny. I'm really going to post that. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, here's the confusion here. Somebody like being unawakened to who they are, or just being in an illusion. Well, I'm gonna do it like this today. Oh, oh my goodness. This is so funny. Here's the creative king that at some point like lost his memory, lost his way, lost his identity, or just lost sight of himself, or lost that spark that used to come so naturally. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. Yeah, but this, here's the bridesmaids, okay? Follow me, camera. So this was a past projection though, because I feel like the king is what is the identity that's either reemerging, reawakening, or reestablishing itself in his natural confidence, his his organic confidence, from being in a very not disillusioned, but maybe delusional state with the Seven of Cups. But I feel like this could also be more so by way of a projection of reality in a distorted, as a distorted truth. Like Kermit literally got hit by a car. He was in the hospital by himself, and therefore people ultimately began to tell him what was true of him, where he belonged, and he just kind of went along with it, because naturally you come across frogs, people that look like you, talk like you, then you will assume that maybe I just belong in that space. But it really wasn't true. Where he belonged was actually with a motley crew of all types of creatures, chickens, monsters, bears, and all the pigs and everything else, of which many were nothing like him at all. I think they did end up incorporating the frogs into the production in the end, but where he felt most at home was actually amongst folks that didn't look anything like him, but where all their differences were celebrated. So it's something about that here, and there was an illusion about someone was illusioned by the limitation of their choices. Like, this must be it for me, because it either is what was told to be true, or by way of experience, the extent of somebody's experience and memory, they just submitted to that reality. But cups are very different than wands, and that card in particular is not the most favorable. Usually it does kind of allude to perceiving yourself to have a great deal of choices, but when you get into the veil, the clouds beyond that, it to me always projects that something else is missing beyond that point. Like, there's more in store, that someone would have to literally have, in this case, more so the insight, I would say, than the foresight to perceive. Wow. Yeah, because your surroundings could tell you something completely different otherwise, Literally, look at this here. Someone being fed breadcrumb information by someone that it looks like they can trust, that positions themselves to be a bit of a diplomat or a leader, that is carrying the scale, so they give the appearance of being honest and fair, but the turnout, almost like presenting themselves to be some initiator of a favorable new beginning, like almost as if I'm helping you out of your despair or out of your disadvantage, and here's the helping hand. And to the naked eye, or to the what's the right word, not vulnerable, but impressionable, maybe, to like an impressionable eye, this could be quite enticing, because by itself, the Page of Wands is good news, and it's exciting to give you an opportunity to expand, explore, you know, it's not bad by itself, and it seemed to maybe even have come from a good place. But let me see, because I didn't have a bottom card to even project a wish fulfillment. But here it is with cups again, where you could find satisfaction in settling for what seems to make sense, but would you really be fulfilled is the question here. You're all, especially when you were already the King of Wands, or at least had that potential to come to the Page of Wands, even with provision. It's like somebody really like abandoning their passions for maybe something that seems to be more stable and secure. I would say in this case, maybe safe. The question is of the matter of that fulfillment, really and truly. Is it lasting? Is it holistic? Or is it, again, a settlement or force? Like, oh, well, this is the best I can do. I had 7 cups, at least I got 9 now, you know? But it's like, you're the queen, you're the King of Wands. You almost be more satisfied with the 10 of Wands than or maybe, what's the nine of Wands? The 9 of Wands, is that the Wounded Warrior? Kind of, sort of, like I'm getting something off of that, even though it sounds kind of strange, that you may even be more satisfied with that, because at least it's like a pain, a pleasure in the pain, you know, with the Wounded Warrior. Like, it may have taken you a lot of energy, time, effort to get to a certain stable place, but it's gratifying because it is a part of you most authentically, that being Wands, the suit of Wands. It's like somebody putting you back to square one with the Page. I don't know, it's something about this here that feels weird. It's saying more to me, it's like an illusion. It's saying more to me than what it actually seems to be by the definition of the cards themselves. What's on the bottom? Ace of Pentacles. Yeah, with even the promise of prosperity. It could even be that, like, really someone being at the point of choice as to what truly is fulfilling. The shiny pentacle, you know, that's safe, secure, reliable, fair enough with the 6 of Pentacles. Like, it may not be holistically fair, equal give and take, but for the most part, like, it works. It's satisfying enough. Or something more, something beyond what's been limited to, the variety that you've been limited to. It could even be as like practical as somebody being well, I kind of said that already, like being enticed to abandon their passion, either on their own cognition because it's hard, or it's a lot of work, or there's been a lot of resistance, and it kind of almost seems like maybe, you know, it kind of draws up insecurities in such a way that you almost feel like, well, maybe I'm not supposed to have more than this, or maybe I'm not supposed to do this. Like Kermit, they shop their show around to so many different people, and you know how it is in show business, you get more no's usually than you get yeses. So it could be even, something like that where somebody is enticed to start over, where they could at least have a stable life or a secure existence that is kind of cool and kind of satisfying. It's not all that bad, but their heart is always calling them at the core. Their passion is always really driving them in a completely different direction. It's like, how do you ever find contentment resisting that call and that urge when it's so, it's so it's so persistent, or incessant, more so I should say. Your purest passions never really die. Sometimes we can dilute them with, watery emotions, or we can practicalize them, or, simplify them, or even suppress that energy. But it's always, as sure as it is, it usually, if it is in the frequency of such as the Ace of Pentacles, at its essence, not the projected reward, for switching it up, but what what makes you feel like $1 million before you even earn $1 million. It's really hard to leave that part of you behind or resist it in any way. Even in this case, if it is like a partnership, like when it came down to it with Piggy and Kermit, he lost himself and started living in another identity. But when his passion was reignited by her fury, or her passion that was ultimately fury, it was then undeniable. It's like home. You can't really denounce that, it's a part of you. So I don't know, but let's see. It could even be to the point of relationships with these two. It's a bit of a stretch for me to say this, but if we're in relationships, it could be someone even trying to make themselves comfortable and at home in a partnership that really they knew was a settlement. I'm settling for second, third, fourth, hell, maybe fifth or sixth best. It's not the ace, it's not what really ignites my passion or excites me. It just will do for now, or it will do in what's the right word? Wow, okay, but let's go here. Yeah, let's go here. Well, that flipped upside down, so I'm gonna take it that way. But let's see what we got here, because that's kind of strange. Yeah, somebody that was settling, it's going there. It's going where I was going. And it could even also speak to someone being a bit resistant to healing as well, or to stepping up to the challenge of the identity that this energy insists upon. Literally the star energy here. Or it could also be someone, as I said, settling for counterfeits. In this case, my God, what is the star? I don't even think I've ever even had the star reverse, to be honest. I would say that's definitely signature of something or someone that is not purposeful. It's not in alignment. It's not destined. Yeah, that's what it is. It literally could be somebody that had settled for some karmic connection or some karmic, or they were engaged in a karmic connection, but usually, as we know, more or less, it's for the purposes of learning a lesson and being enhanced and advanced further into your destiny, if you allow it to be that. If you stay there and you settle for that, then that can be the place you call home. And usually, like I said, you never quite feel holistically satisfied with that choice, even if it's close, is a very, very close, resemblance to what you ultimately desire. But the star in reverse is what it eventually yields, which is not a wish fulfillment at all. Feeling like you missed an opportunity or you forfeited something that could have been otherwise very fulfilling, quite magical, and that is the essence of your heart's desire. And in this case, on account of, back to that Three of Cups that popped up over here, over choices that collectively couldn't amount to the whole of, say, the Ace of Cups or even a star quality, something that really suits your soul, that really makes you feel complete. Yeah. Interesting. Let me see. Ooh, okay, what's on the bottom? Working toward that Ten of Cups, and there's the Strength and the King of Pentacles here with the Ace again. Yeah, it's like it'll never be that with the two, like somebody that was at one point really contemplating what matters most. Like really weighing their options. Is it really of value to have love? And, does it even really matter to be happy as much as it matters to feel accomplished and esteemed and feel stable and secure? This really could be as practical as somebody at one point valuing, like Kermit. I keep going back to that. But like he started to work this very stable profession of like accounting or something. It was something very corporate, very, very black and white, very, I don't know. It was like 9 to 5, clocking in, clocking out, configuring numbers and something. It was just he was in like a collared shirt and tie. It's like, why do you even have clothes on? Kermit doesn't even wear clothes. I don't think through most of the movie he didn't even have clothes or something. But it was just different. Maybe he did have clothes, but anyway, somebody really that made a more practical decision over an emotional one at some point in their life. It literally could even be having ventured out as a creative, an entrepreneur, as an explorer of sorts, and become jaded by the outcome of your ambitions, or maybe pale lack thereof, and going back to something that you can really rely on and depend on, something that literally will bring home the bacon, So this is what it looks like when you forfeit that part of yourself for security and stability's sake exclusively. You won't die. You won't, hopefully, because if you're not doing anything particularly illegal or risky, which he wasn't, he was just not living in his true identity. That's all. He had been convinced otherwise into a new space and time and a new reality that worked even for those that he was having the experience with, but ultimately just wasn't authentic. And because of that, it wasn't sustainable. It just, thanks be to Miss Piggy who knocked some sense into him, but eventually something would have, even if not for time alone, to eventually prove your dissatisfaction, your lack of fulfillment, for it to be, exhibited and inevitable is what I really mean to say. And clearly not the segue to ultimate healing here, and to the expression of your supreme self or your divine nature, like your purpose. This is a forfeit of purpose here with the star in reverse. And people do it every day in some way, shape, or form, but this is really somebody that knows better. They weren't just in it, as the King of Wands, they had a very strong mastery in their craft already established. What was missing is the return and reward for their efforts. And maybe somebody just may have gotten tired or worn out from time, not seeing, the fruits of their labor. And that usually is the moment, when we do decide, like, oh, I'm gonna just leave this alone. Like, imagine you being right at the threshold of that ultimate wish fulfillment, and that be the moment when you give it all up. Nothing more devastating than that, to see, particularly spirit, to witness from the inside or outside in, as your supreme self is only really has allegiance to guiding you or drawing you closer to that truth. So to watch you forfeit it, is tough. And then that is when life does start to happen in strange ways, where you thought you made yourself at home and quite comfortable and content, even complacent, you can never quite really find your rhythm. It's always something. The job is stressful. The relationship can never, you and that partner can never quite see eye to eye and really understand each other. There's always a conflict, or, you may even be engaged to explore otherwise, and, because you're not fully invested where you are, at least not emotionally or passionately, even as you may try to be practically. It's like, it's always, those are the signs and signals of when you're not quite in the alignment with your divine destiny here. All right, let's see, a few more. I'm not going to be long today, I don't think. Oh my goodness. Wow. And this is Miss Piggy. She never stopped loving him. He was always the object of her affection, even when he was nowhere to be found. Wow. What's on the bottom? Yeah, invested. Deeply invested. And this could be on both sides, where I don't know, I don't want to dig too deep into that, but the Seven of Pentacles is definitely about long-term commitments and investments. And the truth is, though, that even when we talk about, twin flame sacred union, like there's always some point of separation, you know, more or less, ideally so, because it's virtually unlikely for two people to meet and absolutely be on the same page at the same time in the moment of their acquaintance. Usually there's some catching up or advancing, evolving that either, if not both, need to do in order to be ready, you know, for that ultimate union, you know, of the Lover's card. And usually that comes on account of being submitted to your supreme self, as I've been talking about, first and foremost, and having that foundation fortified before you can then go and be co-creative or procreative with anyone or anything else. So even though, you know, Kermit lost his way, so to speak, he really solidified his identity, because in his coming to, he now had the reference point of what didn't suit him, what wasn't in alignment. And sometimes we need to know that more than we actually need to know, than we need someone to even tell us, you know, who we are, because she couldn't do that effectively. It's like he had to come to that knowledge in his own, on his own accord. But in this like dynamic of these sacred unions, a lot of times it does come down to someone that exhibits the strength to hold space for faith, you know, of whatever the divine has in store, you know, not to try to control the outcome or insist that it be one way or another, but it's like as simple as, you know, while he may have been off, like Kermit was, sowing into other fields or doing other things, mind completely diverted from the focus of any type of union outside of himself. That was his assignment in a time. And sometimes where things get distorted in these really special partnerships is that while one is doing what they need to do, sometimes the other can become bitter or disgruntled in the waiting, you know, or in the anticipation of destiny playing out, especially not having control. These are two controlling energies. The King of Wands and the Queen of Wands both assert dominance and control over their over a territory, you know, or over their focus of passion. So that's often how one or the other, and when I'm saying man or woman or masculine or feminine, you could have been on either side. You could have been Miss Piggy or Kermit or whatever, you know. But usually one or the other also has to come to terms with their release of control in order to allow love to be first and foremost within their own selves, and then attracting from that space that pure passion, as opposed to being projective, you know, almost like dominant, or to procure that love for self, where someone may clearly, as he's looking in another direction, may in a season not even be available for love. And in that regard, whether or not she believes she is, because I'm sure, well, I know throughout the story, Miss Piggy learned some lessons too, because she also, you know, she became the driving force of what kept the production alive. So she actually learned to be more assertive in her masculine energy, as opposed to being more dependent upon Kermit's presence and their codependency as a couple, or as, you know, a kinship or friendship, I guess. So everybody's learning something, you know, everybody's learning something, but I don't know, like, I don't know what to say about this. It's interesting how it's coming out. see. Rest and rejuvenate, and then here is the Page of Cups. I guess that is the submission, almost the surrender. And here's the Cups again to, yeah, maybe even returning back as he's looking this way, right, to those foundational contributions, I guess, or what's the right word? A lot of times throughout the partnership, when there is separation or when there's just not quite the synergy that allows it to flourish, it's on account of people needing to return back to childhood development. You know, what would make someone be unavailable for love or be willing to settle for less than what they know they want, let alone deserve, or not be able to see what they deserve, to be able to see their value in that regard at all, or minimally so, not to feel secure in their, not to feel confident, you know, and secure in their ability to maybe be in a prosperous commitment, to be in commitment at all, you know. So you settle for a lesser version where you may not have to really evolve much, or there's not much that's going to be asked of you, mainly because you may not be sure you have it to give, you know. So there's always a coming back to self, you know, of what is it that truly is the spiritual makeup of you, where perhaps maybe that cup may have been tainted way before you could even realize it, for masculine and feminine, and really meditate and ruminate on that revelation. Then and only then can you really even get to a point where you are available for love and intimacy and commitment, and you know, you're trustworthy in it and you're trusting of it, all of that stuff, even trusting of yourself as well. So there's that. What's on the bottom? Yeah, knowing when you're not satisfied with where you've settled. And it could be in the mindset, it could be an emotional dependency, you know, it could be even trauma, it could be whatever it is. Here at this Eight of Cups is something that somebody invested a lot of stock into. They've always been this way. They always done it this way. This is all they've known. They've given of them, maybe even somebody that has the experience of giving themselves intimately in ways that caused a traumatic, that left a traumatic residue, but still having the faith again to persevere beyond where they may have been dissatisfied, to still maintain the frequency of faith, to know that there's still more beyond that dissatisfaction, even to truly get to this place of the Nine of Cups where you are quite fulfilled with where you land honestly, you know, being fair to yourself, fair to others, being graceful with yourself, but still honoring the fact that your happiness ultimately does indeed matter, no matter what gets left behind or what may suffer on account of your disconnection or your absence, or even your evolution, you know, or how you've changed or transformed, because sometimes that can leave discontentment behind you. Is somebody that, and then where is he going ultimately, is it where he goes first and foremost is to understand the foundation of his discontentment and why he may have been surrendered to it for as long as he may have, and then to evolve beyond that to grace and understanding for self, accepting that cup of love unconditionally, to know that I'm worth more than this. There has to be more. This is like beyond that Seven of Cups, right? That illusion of this is all you got. You can't do no better because you ain't no better. You're not capable of no more. You know, it's like, no, I think there's more than that. I think I have more potential, greater potential, or at least I'm willing to go and see, you know, which is sometimes half the battle, because people can become so comfortable and complacent with the sheer fact that if they do leave or forfeit what they found some type of settlement with, there may not be anything better. And then to have to face the reality or even the potential of being proved wrong that maybe in fact I'm not worth much more is daunting. So it takes a lot of courage to activate yourself in the Eight of Cups energy when you don't have any guarantees of what's in store beyond you. You really kind of are walking out on faith. Not the Muppets giving me a message. Thank you, Miss Piggy. Thank you, Kermit. Oh, shoot. There's well, this turned over first, so I'll take that first. But here is the, let's see. Oh, here is the Chariot card, but here is the Tower. Shocking twist of events. Shocking fate. Oh, here we go. I was trying to figure out why it was so imbalanced. A shocking turn of events. Whatever that may be, it could even be the revelation itself of who you are and what you are willing to. It could be, actually, now that I'm saying it, as I kind of already spoke on, what devastation could be left in your wake on account of you activating the courage and the willpower to do something different that in some cases may not have been expected. You know, you may not have been slated to take the leap of faith, the risk, the bet on yourself, the wager on yourself that you ultimately have been compelled to do. But the Chariot has to, oh, and you know what? We were talking about destruction, right? So that could be the impulse of those that feel like they're that okay, now it's come full circle. So that's the impulse of wanting to cause destruction here, perhaps coming from those that have felt like your union or this impending union or present union, honestly, it could be that, has somehow left them at a disadvantage. Practically, primitively speaking, it could be people, as I said, that have an objection to you moving on and being happy and having something that they couldn't, feeling left behind, like they, it activates sometimes, that spirit of rejection in other people to feel like they weren't good enough, or why wasn't I worthy, or why wasn't I sufficient? Because maybe what you're leaving isn't necessarily a bad thing, or what you disconnected from isn't necessarily a bad thing with that Eight of Cups. It's a matter of supreme satisfaction, though. And sometimes that's not a palatable expression to those that want to be your ultimate satisfaction in any way, shape, and form, whether it be family, friends, hell, even foes that see you moving on beyond them, or in a way that they just don't wish for you to do so, and begin to want to activate some matter of destruction or deterrence. This could be the energy that they felt on account of your decision and your commitment to yourself, and maybe perhaps what's now being advanced into a commitment with someone else or in something else that's not connected to them. However, what's significant here is that the Chariot is relentless, no matter what intention there may be to cause destruction, what activation of destruction there could have actually been or being planned to be. No matter how rageful or vengeful or just agitated people may be, just on account of you deciding something for yourself that is not agreeable to their agenda, it doesn't have a consequence for the Chariot card, which is success, even in light of adversity. Moving forward, moving onward, no matter what. So back to that beginning, is like somebody can try, and it's actually the police again, which is like that energy of protection, that someone could try to misalign destiny or, deter to hinder the inevitable at this point in time. But it's not really likely. Knight of Wands here. Yeah, somebody could be quite impulsive and overambitious, maybe even lustful to challenge destiny as it's already been ordained. But I mean, come on. It's just not. Is the Knight of Wands any match for the King of Wands? This is the lesser man of the king, the subordinate. Could even be, as I talked about Kermit, like regressing to a life that wasn't, authentic to him. It could be the projection of energies that would want to just impose in a way that would just throw you off your path or throw you out of your best energy, to regress you into a state of being that's just not masterful, where you could be provoked to anything, maybe even to anger, maybe to rage or vengefulness, and ultimately take yourself out of alignment for your destiny. Make you lose an opportunity or miss an opportunity or depreciate it by your own cognition. Sometimes that is the best, the only really weapon left in the enemy's arsenal, is to use your energy against you. But remember that the place that they are either trying to regress you to, or even thinking they may be engaging you at, is somewhere that you have evolved far beyond at this point. So as I'm saying this, at the sheer thought of there being corruption in planning, or the intention of a disturbance, like say you may have the idea that someone is somewhere plotting on your downfall, or projecting energy to your partnership, or wishing that you never get into one, or meet that that ideal partner at all. It's like you don't even need to get activated in response or even defense of that, because one thing's for sure is that amidst all that happened in Muppets Take Manhattan, at the end of the movie, what was meant for Miss Piggy and Kermit ultimately is what came to be. Period. Nobody can really steal your destiny. They can only provoke you to forfeit it by settling for less than who you are and what you deserve. These because it is some Muppets. Worse than Muppets. The ones that try. You know, like Muppet brains, for real. Like literally puppets, you know, for dark forces. In some cases of which don't even know they're being used for a darker agenda. They just a part of the show. Exactly. Here is the Hermit card. And, ooh, wow. Wow. Baby. This is masterfully protected and is given that it's already been ordained on a plane that is beyond this existence. Because this can sometimes be like angels, ancestors, way shores, like it's already been established, this ordinance, like prophecy fulfilled. Whatever that is, however you can relate to that, it is so. What is given is protection in spirit and in truth, because there is a spiritual agenda in play here, and there's also a human assignment to be fulfilled. And neither one of them can falter on account of adverse interference. It's just not possible. As a matter of fact, the adverse interference was kind of written into the story, whether or not they even realize it. They're kind of a part of the, like I said, a part of the production, because each obstacle and challenge that anyone has had to face on account of ultimately submitting to their supreme being has been exceedingly contributory in ways that weren't even, intended to be to that advancement, and in some ways have even accelerated that evolution. Certainly without that being the intention, inadvertently. So it's all a part of the production. Everyone has a part. So for sure, as this, these are strong energies here with the Hierophant and the Hermit, there's already protective measures in place, and it's already protected because of the assignment attached to the fulfillment itself. Like I said, the only thing, that's why the Supreme Self is always so insistent on beckoning you to the light and to the love of yourself holistically, not being distracted and deterred for too long, no longer than what you need to maybe get a lesson, advance your wisdom, and then move on, which is what karmic connections and lessons are all about, experiences are all about. But it's always calling you to the supreme of yourself, where you're most safe, secure, and sound, and most successful, because it's not just you that depends on that realization. This is like society as a whole, like I said, of which everyone has a part. So if you don't find your place and your mark, amongst the cast, that might be the downfall and detriment of someone else that is waiting on your cue. Imagine, like, when you learn your lines for a production, you usually learn them off of the end of the line before, or whatever the context of, the scene may be. And if somebody else is not playing their role, forgetting their lines, then you might mess up someone else that's only going to be queued up on account of your presentation. Wow. Oh my gosh. What? No way. What's on the bottom? Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. If that's not an amazing way to end the Lovers in the World card, closing that old cycle, maybe even the cycle of separation, where lessons were learned, lived and learned, and now it's time for love. It's time to activate that wisdom in the exchange of love. For yourself, always, never losing sight of that, but certainly now being given the authority, the urgence, as a matter of fact, to be open at least to that interpersonal, even intimate exchange one to another. Oh my gosh. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is amazing. Congratulations. Best wishes if anybody is getting married or getting proposed to, or hey, we did have the Ace of Pentacles. That's definitely a proposal. We had the Three of Cups. That could be the bridesmaids. It's like, whatever this is, if this is not a new commitment coming online, or coming into connection, this is the advancement of an existing commitment that is now in alignment to now evolve to that next level, whatever that could be. Could be a baby, could be marriage, could be moving to a new place, could be starting a business, could even just be two people that are evolving spiritually and support one another in that right. But certainly there's emphasis on here of it being something new and fresh, that I would say could have, and that could also be the shock and the awe with the Tower, is like how quickly it advances, maybe even to the parties engaged and involved, that things may move forward faster than what would even be traditional or conventional. With discernment, of course, I would say go with the flow and trust yourself. If you know, or if you have a strong belief and trust in the partner that you're engaging with, I would say be wary of resistances, even by way of conventional and traditional thinking that would make you feel like you gotta go by a certain step or a certain pace in order for it to be real. Because some of us do have the remembrance of, unfortunately, we can't erase the memories of times when it was an absolute disaster, and many of us are careful not to recreate that experience again, and nothing's wrong with that. I support that as well, but just allow this to be whatever it is organically evolving to be. That's all I'm saying, because you and he or she obviously have evolved in a way that renders you to be new. And so therefore, bringing both of those energies on one accord together under God, or under, creative or universal ordinance means that it's most likely unlike anything you've ever experienced before. There's probably very little room for comparison. And that's a great thing. Even more exciting than all the things that you may have settled for and found complacency in the past. So, congratulations. They're finally getting married now. I'll post the clip so you know what the hell I'm talking about. But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.